Hey folks, I'm Donnie the Fuzzy Face Fisherman. Thanks for joining me at Red Dirt Fishing. These are 3 baits you're going to find tied to my lines in the month of June. All right, so before we talk about the baits tied to our lines this month, let's talk about what's going on in red dirt country. The bass are in post-spawn. They're pushing into their summer patterns. So you don't have a whole lot of shallow water fish. They're pushing out into deeper water. They're getting out into those the main bodies of the lake, the deeper spots in the ponds, the lower spots in the channels and creeks, canals, and rivers. That's where you're going to find most of the bass, at least in red dirt country. There's green everywhere. The trees have totally leafed out. You've got grass hanging over the edge of the water, creating nice shady spots, nice cover spots for bass as they transition to that deeper water. Once they get to that deeper water, I'm going to look for them with a weighted paddle tail. This is the first bait that you're going to find tied to my lines this month. Weighted paddle tails, they're pre-rigged. I'm able to get down to that deep water pretty quick and start reeling it back up. And what I'm going to end up do with this, I'm going to pull it up and let it sink down. And hopefully I can get those reaction strikes down those deeper waters with these weighted paddle tails. The brighter color, again, deeper water, probably less light. And then another one, shad color. Those that know me know I love my shad colors. This is going to be what I'm using to get down to my deeper waters. The next place I'm going to find the bass in red dirt country is maybe not quite as deep a water, but on the offshore points and the offshore islands. If you got a boat and you're able to get out on the water, you have the electronics to do it. You can find the underwater topography and find those offshore points, those underwater islands, right as the transition from medium depth to whatever the depth of water is you're fishing in. That medium depth to deeper depth water is where you're going to find the majority of those fish this time of year. And to get down to them, I'm using the divers, right? And again, I got the one with the flash, mimic my shad color. And then, it's traditional. I'm not going to mention names and brands. I'm not trying to endorse anybody here. But this is how I'm getting down to that medium to a little bit deeper water on those offshore points around the islands and whatnot underwater. This is my second bait tied to my lines in the month of June. Now, with these baits, I've covered a little bit, different spots in the water column. The last one, you're gonna say, Donnie, you told me this last month. I don't care. I love topwater frogging, and that's what I'm going with this month. It's topwater frog. I got this guy in my mystery tackle box last month for the month of May, and everything being green, these darker colors are where it's at. I'm telling you that there's such a contrast in the water. It's easier for those fish, in my neck of the woods, it's easier for those fish to spot this darker color on that green contrast, topwater stuff that is bouncing across, whether it's lily pads or whatever happens to be on top of that water as you're working it. Notice short tail, long tail. Those say, some people say those, you trim your frog legs. Yeah, well, actually I do, and I have some longer ones too. This is the topwater popper, the poppin' filthy frog. This one I leave the little bit longer tail on, get a little more action in the water. This one gives me a little bit shorter presentation, smaller presentation. But they both work, depending on where you're at and what you're fishing. All the circumstances are always different. But definitely, third bait tied on my lines, the month of June is going to be a topwater frog. Bonus bait. Those familiar with the channel know that 2023 is the year of the jig here in red dirt country, and that's what I'm going with as my bonus bait, guys. This is a football head jig. You can see the football head there. Now, my intent with this guy here is, again, to get down to that deeper water, so I'm looking for a little bit heavier of a weighted jig, maybe 3/4 ounce, maybe even go all the way up to 1 ounce jig if you can find them. Get down to that deeper water, get it down there kind of quick. And I'm still working that deeper water with this up and down action, right? So what I'm going to try to do is pitch it out there in that deep water, let it hit the bottom, reel it up a few reels, drag it up into the water, let it sink down again. I'm just trying to ploop it down over and over again, up and down, all through that deep water, and try to find those fish. It's kind of slower way to do it, but this will help you find those fish at deeper water. That's what I'm going with, tied to my lines the month of June. Bonus bait, football head jig. Thanks for joining me at Red Dirt Fishing. Those are the baits tied to my lines in red dirt country. Leave a comment. Let me know what you got tied to your lines this month. I'm Donnie, the Fuzzy Faced Fisherman, and until next time, tight lines to you.